I want to teach you how to make rice exact and perfect every time. Today, we're going to make white rice. The only difference between making white rice and making brown rice is the time that it takes for the water to be absorbed by the grain. Let me explain. This rice is dry. It needs to have water absorbed into the grain in order for it to be soft. It's also starchy, and the starch needs to be cooked through. And the only way to do that is by exact measurements and precise temperature. Let's get started. Like anything else, rice really benefits from basic aromatics: onions, garlic, bay leaf, fresh thyme, parsley, whatever you like. Ginger is very nice when it comes to rice as well. But I'm going to stick to my traditional aromatics, and those are the 4 items that I just mentioned. Let's cut this onion for this rice in an appropriate size. The appropriate size would be the same size as the rice kernel when it's cooked, which is going to be about double the size that it is now. I am going to just make some thin lines, thin cuts. Now there's no reason to go too far. This onion is perfect for throwing in the soup. You don't have to feel like you have to get every little piece. Sometimes people struggle so hard getting that last piece. It's just not necessary. This could be used in a chicken soup. This could be used in a salad. It could be used later. It's just an onion. There's no point in cutting your fingers over it. You know, an onion has natural layers, and if you use those layers, you don't need to do those little side cuts that you always see people doing. There we go. See? I'm not fighting with it. It's just an onion. I have a million uses for this onion besides dicing it for this purpose. We have a preheated pan. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a little bit of grapeseed oil in the pan. Then I'm going to pick up our onions. Pay attention. Hear that sizzle? That sizzle means you're cooking well. It means your pan is a proper temperature. You don't want this to turn into a boiling of onion juice. You want this to saute. You want to bring out the flavor. Let's put this aside for another use. We're going to add a little salt to those onions to bring out the natural moisture and the flavor of it. Next aromatic, garlic. Let's peel off some cloves. Tapping it like that, being careful not to cut yourself, loosens up that skin. Now, I enjoy keeping my garlic cloves whole when I make rice, because when the rice is done cooking, what I have is a really soft clove of garlic. And I just really love that as a garnish, as a little surprise. You can always chop it up, you can dice it up, but as of late, I really enjoyed seeing these whole in the dish, larger pieces. Of course, you can always just slice it down like that. Or you could do both. Let's do half and half. Using my silicone spatula, going to move that around. Going to put in my garlic. Going to add some grapeseed oil again. Maybe a little bit of extra virgin olive oil for additional flavor. Now let's throw in those cloves too. A little extra garlic never hurt anyone, especially when we're looking for a really aromatic rice. So we're going to saute this We're not looking for color, we're just looking for aroma, and we want the vegetables to be soft, the onions and the garlic. Now let's set up our ratio. Rice, basmati rice, jasmine rice, all kinds of rice. To me, a general ratio to work with, of course there's exceptions, is 2 to 1 by volume. What does that mean? That means that for 1 part by volume of rice, you need 2 parts of water or chicken stock. If you can use chicken stock, I highly recommend it. There's obviously flavor there, and you just have a jump. Wherever you could season and get more flavor, that'll help make your dish more delicious. So let's measure out 1 part. Now when I say 1 part, it doesn't matter if it's 1 cup, 1 spoon, 1 gallon, 1 whatever this is, it doesn't even matter. I'm just looking to see, oh, that looks like the 8-ounce line, but it could say 7-ounce line or 6-ounce line. It really doesn't matter where it is, as long as I add 2 parts of liquid to 1 part of rice. Let's put a little more. I have a big pot here, got plenty of onions and garlic in there. Remember, this rice can always be a rice salad later. So I'm at the 12-ounce line. I'm going to put this in and I'm going to start toasting it. Toasting the rice, toasting grains. Like anything else, always will add flavor. And just as toasting will add flavor, burning will destroy flavor. We're going to let that toast. Now, here we have some simmering chicken soup, or stock in this case. Smells good. It's under-seasoned. I need it to taste as if I were eating it as a dish unto itself. It has to be seasoned. If this liquid is seasoned, this rice will be seasoned. If this liquid is bland, this rice will be bland. Don't think you could just add salt at the end, because that's simply not the case. Adding salt to something that's already cooked is done in special circumstances, but most of the time, it just makes things taste salty and under-seasoned at the same time. A little bit more. See how careful I am that I'm tasting? Because this is where the dish is made or broken. Right here. This tasting of this liquid that's being put into here. As far as seasoning, this is the most critical aspect of the dish. Not quite. Remember, this is going to be a lot of rice when I'm done. I think we're there. Yeah, fairly confident. Let's measure. What? Let's keep toasting this rice. You know, I could smell this right now. It's really spectacular. Jasmine rice has this, well, it has a jasmine and nutty flavor, especially after I toast it. It almost tastes like toasted walnuts, or pecans, I should say. If only you could smell this, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about, but hopefully you'll try it, and you will. So let's ladle 12 ounces into our measuring cup. How are we doing here? Now, this is one of those situations where it really pays to be precise. I'm a little over. Just as the seasoning is as critical in the flavor, the result of the rice and the consistency and the texture and not being too mushy or hard is all based around having a proper measurement of liquid to grain. So let's start with, you heard that noise? That was a very good sound. That means my pan is hot. That means there's activity. If you don't have chicken stock, you can use water. Make sure to season that water with salt. A little too much there. What we're looking for is absorption, not reduction. We want the water to go into the rice, not into the air. So we just put that liquid in. We lower our heat. Let's see, what herbs do we like? Why not throw a little parsley in there to help let it cook? Aroma, a little bay leaf, a tight fitting lid. Bring it down to a simmer. Real gentle simmer. Check your clock. In 18 minutes, turn it off. We'll be back in 18 minutes to check it out. So it's been 18 minutes. Turn off our fire. At this point, it's important to understand that this can sit right here, just like this, for a half hour, and you can let it steam. But you don't need to. You can serve it right away. We're going to put this on a plate. Very decorative. It's going to be a real simple dish. There's nothing like the most basic, simple foods prepared well on just a clean, nice, colorful plate. Red is perfect to offset the white. We're going to take off the cover. Be careful not to burn yourself with the steam. I've seen too many people get a little facial, burn their hands. Pull that right off. Be careful of the steam. Simple fork. Actually, before we plate this dish, it's very important to have a look. Just going to slowly just fork that loose. Just fluff it. Separate all the grains. Get rid of that steam so it stops cooking. Put that down. Move our plate over here. Gently spoon it. Is that a piece of parsley? That won't hurt anyone. See how beautiful that rice looks? Individual grains, not lumpy, not undercooked, not overcooked. You know, the simplest food is the most delicious food. It's also the hardest to prepare because it requires you to pay attention. These are the kinds of recipes that I like. Recipes that apply to many different items. If this was brown rice, instead of cooking it for 18 minutes, you'd cook it for 36 minutes. And that pretty much applies to any whole grain. Just going to pile it up. Nice plentiful dish. Back to our herbs, huh? Little fresh parsley. There's a lot of flavor in this dish. It's made with a delicious chicken stock. It's made with onions, made with garlic. The rice has been toasted. We have a naturally high flavored dish, and it's absolutely perfect. Enjoy it.